Hi everyone, I'm the Babywearing Math Teacher, and today we're going to talk about how to find the greatest common factor. So one of the common difficulties that students usually have is remembering the difference between greatest common factor and least common multiple. So the first thing that I look at is the word greatest. If you're looking for the biggest number, then you're probably not going to be multiplying these numbers because you can infinitely get larger and larger and larger. If we're looking for the greatest number, we need to have a limit. So we're looking for the greatest factor that falls underneath 75 and 45. So right off the bat, we know that our answer is not going to be greater than 45. Now the other word I look at is factor. So factor are the numbers that you can multiply together to get these numbers given, 45 and 75. So in order to get our greatest common factor, we're going to need to figure out, well, what are all the factors of these numbers? So we'll start with 45. The first thing that I recognize right off the bat is it ends in a 5. So I know that 5 is a factor, and I can multiply 5 times 9 to get 45. Now I want to start thinking, okay, what else can go into it? We know that 5 goes into it. So then I want to think, well, does 10 go into it? No, because it doesn't end in a 0. What about 15? 15 will go into it. That'll go in 3 times. We know that 3 is a factor because if I add 4 plus 5, I'll get 9, and 9 is a multiple of 3. So that's how I get that. Let's see, is there any other factors of 45? Not that I can think of right now, but I could be wrong, so I might have to come back. I want to move over to 75. Again, I know that this definitely for sure has a factor of 5. And I want to figure out, okay, how many times will 5 go into that? That's going to go in 15 times. I also know, I'm thinking money, quarters, so 25 is going to go into that 3 times. And already I'm realizing, okay, 15, that's the same between those two. So I want to just look at 25. Would 25 go into 45? No. Are there any other numbers somewhere between 15 and 25 that will go into both of those? And not that I can think of. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and stop and say that 15 would be the greatest common factor. Let's look at another example. This time we'll go ahead and take 36 and maybe 54. Alright, first thing I want to do is break up 36. So I know 9 times 4 right off the bat. I know that 3 times 12 will go into that. I know it's even, so 2 will go into it. And let's see, so I'm going to count up 2, 3, 4, 5's not going to go into it. 6 times 6, so I only need to write the 6 once. 7 won't go into it, 8 won't, 9 we already have, 10 won't go into it, 11 won't go into it, 12 I have, and at this point, once I've matched up with my smaller number, I've kind of eliminated my possibilities. So now let's move to 54. So first I want to start small. 2. 2 is going to go in 2 times 27. Will 3 go into it? Check. 5 plus 4 is 9. So 9 is a multiple of 3, so I know 3 does go into it. So 3 times 18. Then I want to think, does 4 go into it? Nope. Does 5 go into it? How about 6? Okay, 6 times 9. Will 7? No. 8 is not going to go into it. 9 I have, and then from there I'm just going to count back. So now I need to look between these two. What's the biggest number that's the same in both lists? Well, there's 2's that are the same, but they're not bigger than 18. 18 would be considered my greatest common factor. So when you're looking for greatest common factor, you need to list as many factors as you can possibly think of, and then look between the two lists for the greatest number, the biggest number that's in both lists. This is How to Find the Greatest Common Factor, brought to you by the Baby Wearing Math Teacher, because math is so good.